So he just started running off names. And then he said Anthony. And I was like, okay. And he said Anthony Hassan. I was like, okay. I'm like, I said, you got somebody who went to your mom's named Anthony Hassan? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, does he have a son? He was like, I'm not sure. So I'm like, show me a picture. He like, all right, well, let me look up his Facebook and stuff. We couldn't find him on Facebook, but I'm like describing him. I'm like, I think I know his son. So he calls his mom. He's like, Mom, do you know Anthony Hassan, blah, blah? And she's like, yeah, Anthony Hassan, the one who wore the suit. I forgot what she said. Like the one who wore like the green suit, or the one who used to smile all the time. She said something. I forgot. Or the one who used to like say something to so-and-so's baby girl. I forgot what she said. I wish I remembered the conversation verbatim. But like his mom basically was like, yeah, I remember him. He was like, yeah, I think I know somebody who's friends with his son.
Welcome back to another episode of The Harvest, where we harvest empowering conversations. Here I have with me very dope brother, solid guy. When you think of when someone says the name Ahmad, referring to you, it's the word solid comes to mind. The word dependent, reliable, trustworthy, real, through and through. But the good bro, Mr. Ahmad The Poet, here I have with me on the Harvest, man. I appreciate you. We like show our audience love, show our guests love. So we do like a little, not many, but still.
I love it.
But now I appreciate you for taking time out and doing
absolutely,
it,
bro.
Coming on the Harvest, sharing your wisdom. I know it's been a long day, so I ain't gonna hold you long. But while we was waiting and getting ready to record, and I know you talked about it as well, because also just to give background, we also work together on the same team for work. Yeah. So it's like I've gotten to know you. Would you say fairly well? Like
absolutely.
Granted, this is our second time in person, but still through and through. Like I felt like it feels like more than just two times.
Absolutely, bro. I mean, I feel like me and you, we both men of the spirit, and we both like vulnerable people, which I connected with you on since the first time meeting you. Like even hearing you over the phone, like when we met the first time, I was like, oh, you the real deal. Like you like the person that we've been on the calls and us expressing ourselves. And my first impression of you was like, man, this dude, he's a pretty honest dude. You know what I'm saying? He's a man of the faith, and not only that, he's not afraid to like give people their flowers. Like, bro, you do incredible stuff, man. And I always love that about you. So when I met you, like I'm just like a studier of people. So I kind of like studied you a little bit, and I'm like, is he really that, or is that kind of like a front? And just like walking with you and building with you and working with you, it's just like
we walking around the Invest Fest.
Yeah, walking around the Invest Fest, man. And it was just like, man, he the real deal, man. I like this brother. This is my brother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I appreciate that for sure. I mean, I feel it's powerful to give people their flowers, to let them know that they are valuable.
Yeah.
Because whether or not like what you may tell someone, maybe the first time with them hearing it, or just having the awareness of like, oh yeah, if I tell someone, let's tell you, bro, you're doing an amazing job. Like some people don't hear that in their head, they thinking they not doing enough, and it's like, no, like people take that for granted. But while I was getting ready, you was listening, and I heard you talk about it before. You listen to your classical music. What does that, in a sense, do for you? Because I like jazz. I listen to jazz sometimes when I work. But the classical, I was listening to it, sitting here listening with it. Damn, I can't.
Sitting here
But I could. You could the way the piano was playing is like, oh, you feel that wave of emotion. What does that do for you, and how important would you say If I just say music, that's a wide conversation.
No, but
But
that's good though.
yeah,
That's good. I mean, it's interesting that you say that, and I want to touch on something that you also said about giving flowers because this is powerful. Me and Spank, my co-host on Breaking the Machine podcast, my podcast, we was talking about this the other day, and just the power of a woman's affirmation, but then also the power of a man's affirmation, and how it's two different energies.
Yeah,
and how in a low moment of my life, he called me on the phone. He was just telling me like, man, you a great man, and I needed to hear that, even knowing that I work on myself every day, and I needed to hear him say like, no, bro, you a good man, like, bro, you this, you that, and I'm like, dang, I told him like, bro, I just wanted to tell you, I know I told you before, but I want to tell you again, like, I needed that, like, that's important, especially for us as men to like reassure ourselves or tell each other like, man, like I see you, bro,
yeah,
like you know what I'm saying, because a lot of work that we do on ourselves, oftentimes we don't. I don't even want to say get a pat on the back, but we don't get acknowledged for it.
gets overlooked.
And it's just like a lot of work that we do as men, it feels so insignificant because nobody acknowledged us for it. So for you to see something small that I do or something small that I did, it's just like, bro, I see that. It's like, dang, man, somebody saw that.
Yeah.
Damn, man. Like I appreciate that, man. So it goes a long way. But as for the music, man, like the music is everything, man. Like I could talk about this for days. Like the music is everything. Like I talk about it in a lot of my interviews, like the song Agape by Nicholas Brittle, that was the song that got me to start the ancestral playing. And that was the song that basically changed my last 6 years of my life. That song. Off a post that Tracy Ellis Ross put on her Instagram. Me hearing that song on the reel that she put up, or it was just a video post that she put up at the time. I was just like, there's a whole world in that. Like that whole song is its own world in itself.
Now is that the music that you use for your clips?
Yeah. When I originally started the ancestral playing, I used that song for pretty much all the clips. And that whole soundtrack to If Bell Street Could Talk, I used that whole soundtrack for all of my clips. Maybe the first year or two. And a lot of people weren't hip to Nicholas Brittle at that time, which is a whole nother story. But yeah, man, what classical music does for me, man, I believe that feelings and like emotions is like trapped in music, man. And I didn't grow up on rap music. I didn't grow up on R&B for real. I grew up on like Indie and like whatever my mom was listening to. So Indie, Lauryn Hill, Fantasia. You know what I'm saying? So like I love them. But other than that, I don't know anything else. Like literally those three. Only rapper I listened to growing up was Nas because my dad liked Nas. Other than that, all classical music. And more so like movie soundtracks, which is what gets me going. So if I listen to a movie soundtrack before an interview like we did now, it'll put me in the energy of my childhood. It'll make me feel like I'm in my mom's living room again. It'll make me feel like I'm safe, like my dad is sitting across from me, or my dad is in the room, my mom's in the room, and all my siblings is in here, just because it connects me to that. I don't have like a hip-hop song that connects me to that. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you that. Like you asked me what I like to listen to, and I said like the old school.
Yeah.
That's what I was raised around. That's what it's raised. That's what brings me back to being that child. So speaking on that, like that, going back to that inner child almost, how valuable do you find you tapping back into your inner child when it comes to your creativity or like to your craft of journalism?
I mean, I find it in journalism, it's more so just like you want to be the person that, you know, that your inner child can look up to, you know what I'm saying? And it guides your actions now. Like, and a part of it is also like being somebody that my mom can be proud of, like somebody that my mom can look at and be like, that's my son.
Yeah.
You know, so I was talking to my mom not too long ago about that. Like, one thing that always kept me on the right path is the fact that you never judged me when I did something wrong. You just like, you know, you're my son, right? Yeah. And it's just like, damn, I got to be the person who deserves to be your son, who deserves that love and attention and care. So the fact that you never turn your back on me is what kept me on the right path, even when I made mistakes. So I just feel like, you know, connecting to my inner child, it helps me with my podcast because it's just like, I understand what the youth of today need to hear. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, something I say all the time, sometimes I cry not for me, but to show other people how to do it. You know what I'm saying? So I done got on the podcast and like be vulnerable and different things like that. Sometimes not even for me. It's just like somebody else is going through this and they might not think that you can be a stand-up man or like a certain type of guy. And express yourself like this. So let me do this for the people who didn't, because that's what I saw when I was in high school. It was this podcast called the Day and Night Podcast with Trey Good. Shout out to Trey Good. He don't do videos anymore, but wherever you at, brother, salute to you. You know what I'm saying? And he was talking about how he would get so nervous when he was going on dates, and no, he would get so nervous when he was talking to like girls, right? And he didn't have the right intentions. Because he was like, this girl really loves me. And like, she's giving her all to me. And like, she's really bought in. And to me being this great man, the whole time I have like different thoughts. I have a whole different agenda in my head. And he was like, man, it made me feel sick. Like, that's what makes me, anytime I think about love, it makes me sick. And at that age, I was like, damn, I'm the same way. But it's just the weight of impure intentions. Gotcha. When your intentions is impure, that weight and messes with you, man. Yeah. And like for him to express it like that, I've never heard anybody say that they could relate to that. And I related. So then that got me to listen to his podcast. I was just like, bro, I love this dude. Like, man, I got to get deeper into what he do. You know what I'm saying? And but fast forward for me to do what I do and be that for other people, it's just like he sparked me. So imagine who I'm sparking. And even if I quit doing the podcast, and they like, man, I'm doing this because this one dude, Ahmad The Poet, he had a podcast, man. He inspired me to do this. And that's what it's about, man. You know what I'm saying? It's about connecting to the inner child. Like, hey, man, what did I need to hear back in the day? Like, what did I need my big brother to tell me? Yeah. And that's being that big brother for other people. You know what I'm saying?
Sending that attention to be like, I'm doing this for the younger generation. Because I wish I had it when I was younger. That's real. Speaking of podcasts, though, so here's my thing with podcasts. You know, everyone has a podcast now, everybody. And the thing I have trouble with is like, I was saying this the other day, the bullshit sells when it comes to like on what you see on social media, what you see with the most views. The podcasts with the topics that they talk about aren't really like relevant or to like cause a greater good. You get what I'm saying? And I want to talk to you about, I mentioned to you a little bit about the Cat Williams interview. And when it comes to podcasts, my thing is like, because also, if you haven't already, check out Live with Ahmad through Revolution One, your own podcast, and as well as Breaking the Machine, and as well as that. But with working with you on Live with Ahmad, watching your episodes, I realized that you took the skill, you can call it art, craft, of journalism serious. You were prepared. You were ready. And that preparation that you took before you have a guest on is pivotal, especially if you have a podcast for the right reasons. Now you see a lot of people, they just sit down and just start rambling. And then also to the Cat Williams episode, because I watched it too, and it was Cat Williams rambling. And I heard one thing, they were saying how like Shannon Sharp wasn't really a good interviewer because of the fact that he allowed Cat Williams to ramble, not really have total control over the conversation. And even I said, I was like, you know, I think I was like, it was good, but you know, it was messy. It was very messy, and it was steered in that direction. What's your take on first the journalism aspect of that conversation, and also when it comes to like just having a podcast and being prepared and controlling the conversation that you have with guests?
I think for me, it's kind of like what Shannon Sharp has said in response to it. Like, he didn't do anything different in that episode that he did in any other episode. And nobody criticized his journalism then. So I don't know why they're criticizing his journalism now. I feel like he did an excellent job. And he, like he said, if I wasn't there, there's no way I can fact check. And there's no way I could have prepared questions or prepared rebuttals for different things that I wasn't we was even going to discuss in this conversation. So there's that. But, you know, I heard Stephen A. Smith talk about it, and I'm trying to quote him right, but I believe he said it's like either going to be the biggest podcast episode ever or it's going to be the most impactful. That, I feel like that's something that we can all like sit down and digest. That might take a while. Like, I don't know, man. Like the most impactful, maybe the biggest. I don't know. Like that's, you know, relative as well. Like something bigger might come along, but it's definitely something that's going to go down in history. You know, But I feel like as far as my preparation, I take it seriously. Just because it was always my intention to be like a serious journalist. Like even when I started the podcast, I told my co-host like this is not just gonna be this podcast. Like we're gonna go different places with this.
Yeah.
Why? Because I study other people who do podcasts and like
who are the people that you study?
Man, I study everybody. Well, I don't want to say study everybody, but I study a lot of people. The main ones being Joe Rogan, Joe Budden, Joe Budden. I study Lex Friedman a little bit. Darius CEO. I like Josh Setti. I like his style too. Yeah, these is like the real ones, the real professionals. I watch a lot of other podcasts, but I don't really study their journalism. I like these people for their journalism. I like the way Joe Rogan doesn't have to have a thing full of questions right in front of him for him to memorize his questions. I like that. I take that from him. Gotcha. I like the way Joe Budden curates his conversations and makes it like a natural flow, but how he can be assertive in certain points that'll make him seem like a journalist and a friend at the same time. I like how Josh Setti asks the questions that get them to get really vulnerable, similar to Stephen Bartlett at Darius CEO, how he asks the vulnerable questions. It's not even just about the format, it's about the quality of the questions. It's like, whoa, how did you come up with that question?
Yeah.
That's what I like. So I study those people, and it's just like, more so I study Joe Budden because I saw how he went from a podcast to a show at Complex to a show, The Pull Up, that was sponsored by Revolt, if I'm not mistaken, and sponsored by Cash App. And then now to just solely the Joe Budden podcast. And I like that. So I was like, okay, so people can start off with a podcast, and then other companies would be like, yeah, keep doing your podcast, but can you do a show for us?
Yeah.
So that's why I told my co-host, I was like, they're going to ask us to do other shows. You might have a show on Complex. I might have a show here, blah, blah, blah. And I think about a year and a half in, I got an offer from, I really ain't never said who it was, but I got an offer from this company called Comedy Hype. And they wanted me to come down here to Atlanta, which is why I moved to Atlanta. To do a show with them called a stand-up. You know what I'm saying? It was just a play on comedy, but really just about being bold and, just, being bold in your opinions. But that show never aired. I still have footage of it, but it just never aired. And I ended up leaving that situation. But it was not bad blood. I love everybody over there. Shout out to John.
Yeah.
All good people. Shout out to Symphony, too. She came on my show. I love her, too.
Yeah, Symphony.
Very genuine. Very genuine. Always showing love to the family over there. Always show love, but yeah. So I just think I saw it from the beginning. I'm like, this is gonna be bigger than a podcast. So I always was like very like meticulous about that and how I went about doing my show. But I just take great pride in it. And at the end of the day, like anybody, I don't really know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? It's about winging it, but also just about doing the best preparation that you can. Studying the people who do it very well, and they might be winging it too. But it's just about studying it to the best of your ability. And then when you show up, do your best impression of what you think a journalist would do. You know what I'm saying? It's like acting. It's like, what would a journalist do in this episode? And then you do that. You know what I'm saying?
And setting your intentions too.
And the amount of seriousness that you sell it with makes people believe it. You know what I'm saying? The fact that you can say something and deliver it just like a journalist. The fact that you didn't laugh or chuckle about it or kind of like second guess yourself makes people like, oh, he felt that. No, I didn't. But I sold it like I did, which makes you believe it. You know what I'm saying? So oftentimes that's what it's really about. It's about selling it. You know what I'm saying? It's about showing no signs of insecurity when it comes to your craft. You know what I'm saying? And obviously I do not do that perfectly because when I'm on the show, I got nerves going through me and all type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. When I ask you a question or when I'm sitting down with you, it's like, you're going to feel like I prepped because I did, you know what I'm saying? But you're going to feel like I'm Larry King right now. Like I'm Larry King. I'm Walter Cronkite right now. Like I'm really those guys right now. You know what I'm saying?
That's real. You embody that. I remember, like, I didn't really get on the podcast wave until probably like 3 years ago when I started watching I Am Athlete, and I'm like, yo, I like this. And I started tapping into other. But for me, it was really like, I remember coming home from elementary school with my grandma watching Oprah on TV and just hearing her ask, I'm like, that's interesting. Or like The View, you have The View. They got some heavy. They all women. Shout out to The View as well. But it was that. It was like, oh, okay. I kind of dive. I kind of rock with that because it's like you get it. You're pulling something out of somebody, and you're like, whether you go deep or shallow with it, you're to the convincing of the question
Mm-hmm.
of how deep you can take it. And it's like when you, it's an art. It's like when you pull some out of somebody, and then it's like, oh,
It's one thing to criticize, and it's another thing to manifest. It's
mm,
like when you see a show and you're like, dang, I like that show, but I wish they would have said it like this, blah, blah, blah. But then you get your opportunity. Can you really make it come off the way that you saw? Like, oh my God, the view is amazing. Or this other show, Oprah, she did an amazing job, but she should have asked this. There's people who can see things and they have such an urge and the desire in them. It's like, nah, I got to do it.
yeah,
Like, I got to get, like, she did an amazing job, but I swear to God, I got some extra sauce that I can add to this. It'll take it to the next level. That's the thing that sparks me in anything. You know what I'm saying? Just like seeing other people do great things, and it's like something in my spirit's like, I can do something like that. I don't feel like that in everything, but what does attract me like that,
resonate
I
with
know
you.
I'm
Yeah.
willing. I can go there. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to put in the work to get the world to see what I'm, what I got on my heart. You know what I'm
I
saying?
got you. So, speaking on that, like, what are the things that you see other people do and that resonate with you to where like I could do that as well?
Man, so much things, man. When I see people do documentaries, I be wanting to do documentaries. Obviously, I do poetry, but it's just like I feel like the way people put out their poetry is not the way that I want to put it out. I'm like a narrator. Like I like narrating stuff. Like
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen some stuff on my page of me kind of just like narrating stuff. I write my poetry like a narration. You know what I'm saying? So I like I make music too, you know what I'm saying? But that was more so from my love of classical music. It's like, all right, well, I want to do an audio book, so I want to be able. I was inspired by Soulja Boy, honestly. Like
Oh wow.
how he
Okay.
talked about how he
Yeah.
produced Crank
The
That, how
first
he
rapper.
did all this stuff,
Yeah.
and how he made all this money from it because he was like, it was all in house. I'm like, when I do my audiobook, it's gonna be all in house. Not only am I gonna write it, I'm gonna narrate it. Not only am I gonna mix and master the audio, but I'm also gonna produce the soundtrack for it, so I can own the whole IP. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So over these past years, I've just been writing the book. I've been learning how to narrate, and I've also been learning how to make beats. So I can just like marry all the two in there. So yeah, I'm inspired by like documentaries. I'm inspired by people who make music. I'm inspired by people who do poetry. I'm inspired by people who vlog. That's something I'm going to do this year. I haven't really talked about. I'm in the process of getting a new camera right now to start vlogging with. If it's just one vlogger, he's like a fashion like enthusiast. He goes by I Love Mari, I believe. Shout out to you. He definitely inspired me just by the way he does his cinematic vlogs. I'm like, bro, if I could do something like that, I could change the world. So I DM'd him like, yo, what type of camera you use? He hit me back in like 15 minutes, like, yo, I use this camera with this one. I'm like, bro, shout out to you. I appreciate that, man. Like, you have no idea. Like, you just inspired me. The way you do vlogs, I haven't seen people do it in years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was exposed to like sitting down and actually watching vlogs with my girlfriend, and she'll watch it. And I'm looking at the editor, and I'm like, yo, this is like they do it. They hit it to another. I didn't even know it was to that level. You get what I'm saying? I'm like, this could be in a TV show or a movie.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, it's about the vibe, man. Like if it's late night, they got the right music playing in it. They got the right color grading on it. Just like it's just like, dang, like you could be a director. Like you really could be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was this. You might know her name, but she was in the grocery store, and she set the camera down like at different places in the grocery store and recorded herself walking by picking. I'm like, you know her name? Kyra Amanique. Shout out Kyra Amanique, because Kyra Amanique does have a different, like, grocery store, like people walking around, like you would think she's shooting a movie. It's different, but also to the cinematic. Let's transition to cinematic. You told me about the movie. Was it Dooms?
Yeah,
The Dooms.
Yeah,
now,
Dooms,
would you say, what is, like, if that's not like the latest most impactful movie or cinema you watch, what would be the most impactful?
It probably was Dooms, man.
Dooms.
I watched that one movie. I can't remember the name of it right now with Mahershala Ali. That new movie that came out on Netflix.
Leave the World Behind.
Yeah, I watched that one. That was a good one. When I first like the first 20 minutes, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around the way that they're like cinematically doing it. How the direct. I'm like, this is some weird stuff. Like, I don't think I'm gonna like this. By the middle, I'm like, this is a masterpiece. Then by the end, I'm like, oh, what happens next? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, but it's also like I do believe in that end times type of thing. So like I'm don't even want to say conspiracy theorist, but I'm a man, like I always say, I'm a man of the spirit. So
Yeah.
I believe in the end time. So just seeing that, it's just like, oh, this is some interesting stuff. You know, it's something that we were taught growing up as Muslims is that they're scientists in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? That put certain things in the movies that are basically signs of things that are to come. You know,
Yeah.
so I always look at movies different. You know, Doom definitely was a powerful movie for me because it was recommended to me by can't remember her name. I think it's called. I think her name on Instagram and on Twitter is say it's Valencia.
Valencia, yeah, Valencia. Shout out Valencia.
Shout out
Yeah.
Valencia. She suggested that movie. I put out a tweet and I said, "What's the greatest quote that you've seen in the movie?" She quoted Doom. It was like, "You got to check it out." I was like, "Oh snap!"
Yeah,
like,
Valencia dope.
The quote was so sharp. I was like, "I got to check it out." But I think the thing that stood out for me was, and I think we might have had this conversation before, it was just about the power of dreams, you know what I'm saying? And just the fact that I've been having some powerful dreams lately. Like, you know, when you have a normal dream and you know when you have a dream, you don't know if it's a lucid dream, you don't know if it's a sleep ride, you don't know what it is, but it's not normal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you know what a normal, even you know what a normal nightmare is, a normal dream, you know, all that stuff. Like when this is not normal. And I've been having a lot of not normal dreams. So just hearing that, like watching that movie and for the character, I can't remember the boy's name, but for him to be like the witch or whatever, she went by a different name, like an oracle. She asked him, "Does all your dreams come true? Exactly how you dream?" He said, "Not quite." He said, "They don't come true exactly how I seen them, but they come true, just not how I seen them." And that hit me because it's just like, dang, I've been having dreams for like years, and things will come true, but not exactly how I seen them. So
it's almost like deja vu, almost.
It's almost like deja vu, and it's also like it's like deja vu, but it's also like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like let's say I dreamed about this, you know what I'm saying, but my brother was sitting on the couch. I wouldn't be able to recognize that this is the moment that I saw because my brother it's not sitting on the couch.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? So the fact that everything isn't exactly how I saw it, it'll make me feel like nothing. It's not it. And what he was basically saying is, I don't focus on the details of the dream. I focus on like the big picture. You know what I'm saying? So he understands like, oh, the big picture comes true, but the small details they're different. Just like he saw the one dude being his friend, and he ended up having to kill him.
Yeah.
But he knew he was gonna see him. The big picture that he foresaw him meeting somebody and he met him. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that was the biggest impact that I took away from it, bro. I watched it like 5 times in 3 days.
Because he told him, he was like, if you go, you're going to die. Yeah, I saw you dead. Yeah. I only watched it once, and I wasn't really, I saw it, and I was like, okay, this is different. But they're coming out with a second one, though.
I'm on it.
Yeah, they're coming out with, I think I seen the trailers when I was went to go see The Color Purple. But yeah, it was like, oh, okay. I have to watch it again, though, because you say you watched it 5 times.
Yeah, 5
times.
times.
And I realized seeing something, I used to be the one, I would just watch it one time and just leave. But then, like, I saw Leave the World Behind twice, and I looked at it at a whole different perspective. And I'm like, oh, damn. Like, jeez. But when you mentioned something about how you watch movies and you look at camera angles and how, because I do the same thing. I look at it how, oh, they got it from this angle. Oh, snap. Like, how many frames? Okay, cool. Do you see yourself like being in director?
I feel like in many ways I already am.
Yeah.
And I think somebody told me that. Like, I did another interview. It was an independent interview that I did, and the dude asked me the same thing, you know, and I was just like, I guess he was like, I feel like you're already doing it. And no, it might have been one of my podcast guests who told me that, but I definitely do. Maybe not in the sense of like, you know, like movies or anything like that, but definitely in the sense of like producing stuff. That's why I always say that like I'm a producer, because even if I don't shoot it, I can teach anybody how to curate the episode to make it the vibe that you want it to be.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. Like, man, I remember we did this one episode on Breaking the Machine, and it was outside. It's called Auntie's Porch. And it was Spank and the guest Courtney Bell. And I remember afterwards, I'm talking to Spank, and he's like, bro, this episode, I didn't execute it, you know, how I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? He did a great job, but he was like, I didn't execute it the way I wanted it to. And I was like, trust me, they're going to see what you got in your head by the time I get done with it. Like, and that was one of the biggest episodes we ever did. Because it's like, it's not about what you see, it's about what you make them feel.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's not even
Yeah.
about what have, like, we can
Yeah.
feel all type of ways, even on this episode or on the camera, but it's about how we making people feel. What we feel about it don't mean nothing. How can we make them feel about it? And it's all about clipping it up the right way. It's also all about giving them the right vibe, putting the right, like, music is a big thing
Yeah.
for me. You already know that.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Do you watch Funny Marco?
Oh yeah. I don't watch his show. But I watch his stuff. Yeah.
He had he did an interview with Gilly, and the way he, Gilly is very dramatic. He had his blunt in his hand, talking all, and it was the play on how he had music in the background, like fitting his in more in a humor way, not like in a serious way, because it was funny, but it was just that the way he it could be him or it could be his team. But the way they set it up to where, like, it would be Gilly being over dramatic and they'll play dramatic cinema music while he's talking, and it matched perfectly. And it's like, yo, that's some real stuff. But to pivot real quick, we were sitting here earlier, we had a dope conversation. Shout out to Aisha Akambi, Anthony Murdoch, Tunji Adebayo. And
shout out to the family.
Shout out to the fam. And you I was mentioning, like, my dad in Flint, and you was like, you knew someone, you met someone at the gym that knew my dad.
Yeah, I ran into this dude at the gym. Shout out to JD. I was hooping, because this is before I started working out. I was working out, but not for real. I was just working out a little bit, then I go hoop.
Yeah, I see. I
appreciate it, because you're the first person who knows that I've been working out.
Yeah, I'm like,
bro, my brother see me. But I was just hooping and stuff, and this older gentleman, he came down there and he was just like, you want to get the rebounds, and then we can just get each other's rebounds and stuff, and you can shoot 70 and I'll shoot 70. I'm like, all right. And then we just was talking afterwards, and I believe I don't know how we got on the topic of Islam, but like, I must have said something, and he was like, "You a Muslim?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm a Muslim." So then we sat down and we talking and stuff like that, and then we was just going back and forth, and then I don't know how we came on the topic, but I believe he was talking about, like, Muslims in his mosque, because he thought I went to his mosque. He's like, "I never seen you at the mosque." I'm like, "Oh, you haven't?" I was at mosque number 53. He was like, "I was at mosque number 50." So I'm like, "Okay, you must be talking about a place that I ain't been to." And then he said a brother's name. I believe he said Brother George. And he was like, "You know Brother George?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the one person from your mosque that I know, Brother George." He's like, "Yeah, so you must have gone to my mosque." I'm like, "No, I think Brother George was in my mosque. And then in his latter years of his life, he transitioned into Sunni Islam, which means he went over to your mosque." He's like, "Oh, okay, does that make sense?" So he just started running off names. And then he said Anthony. And I was like, "Okay." And he said Anthony Hassan. I was like, "Okay." I'm like, I said, "You got somebody who went to your mosque named Anthony Hassan?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "Okay, does he have a son?" He was like, "I'm not sure." So I'm like, "Show me a picture." He like, "All right, well, let me look up his Facebook and stuff." We couldn't find him on Facebook, but I'm like describing him. I'm like, "I think I know his son." So he calls his mom. And he's like, "Mom, do you know Anthony Hassan, blah, blah?" And she's like, "Yeah, Anthony Hassan, the one who wore the suit." I forgot what she said. Like, the one who wore, like, the green suit, or the one who used to smile all the time. She said something. I forgot. Or the one who used to, like, say something to so-and-so's baby girl. I forgot what she said. I wish I remembered the conversation verbatim. But, like, his mom basically was like, "Yeah, I remember him." He was like, "Yeah, I think I know somebody who's friends with his son." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he was like, "Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while, but yeah, I know him." I was like, I didn't, like, you talking today. Now I know that y'all have a conversation. I didn't know y'all had a conversation there. So I was like, I would love to send this to Ant, but I got to know if this is his father, you know what I'm saying? So I want to see his face so I could be like, yeah, that's them. But yeah, he was like, Anthony Hassan, and bro, it's a small Muslim community in Flint. It's not a big Muslim community.
Yeah.
So I'm like 95% sure, you know what I'm saying? It was
the last time I talked to saw my dad in person, we had a conversation, and he was like, he gotta go back up to Michigan and whatnot. So I know he still be visiting, because I think his mom still stays up there. But yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I swear to God, that's why I was like, bro, this is some divine intervention type stuff.
But even I told you when we was here during the summer, I was like, yo, I felt like I was with my people, like, to a sense, because we were talking about earlier the conversation of, like, fatherless homes and not really
Yeah.
knowing who you are, where you
Yeah.
come from, and like that, I was like, yo, I feel with my people. Like
Yeah.
that was the first time I ever felt that way because it was the sense of when I was a kid and it was just my mom and her family. I always felt like, I swear to God, bro, I was like, this is not my family. Because I was the only one with the last name Hassan. I was like, yeah, this is not my family. And then even to the point we were talking about toxic masculinity, it was like they always talking about me like this can't be my family. Like, but that was the first time I like it was like, oh, these my people for sure.
That's deep, man, because it makes me think about culture. Like, you know, like culture is not something that you really can enter. It's something that belongs to you.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? That being one half of your lineage, that's a part of your culture, man. And what you're speaking on is brothers who come from the culture that you come from. That's like us coming from the tribe that your pops is from.
Exactly.
And us telling you about our experience.
And I feel connected to
you know
that
what I'm saying?
without even being around.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's deep that you even said it, because I'm just like, bro, that's culture, bro. And it is such a rich culture in just terms of like good feelings. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the food, like to celebrate. Like, that's the part that I'm like, damn, like that just hit me. Like, bro, that's culture, bro.
Yeah. But we're gonna play a game. We're gonna play a game called This or That, right?
Let's do it.
Get your mind right. Oh, let's go. We're gonna talk about music. Soulful jazz or reggae?
Oh, soulful jazz. I've never listened to reggae.
So you never listened to reggae?
Yeah.
I kind of figured. Let's go. Album listening sessions or singles on repeat?
Singles, yeah.
Singles?
Yeah.
Okay. It depends with me. I like listening. It depends on the artist though, but I'll definitely listen to an album.
Yeah.
Nonstop. Just I gotta be in the mood for it. But
I don't have a lot of albums that I can listen to like that.
Nah, okay. That's real. Classic sneakers or regular tennis shoes? Like the classic Jordans or like, you know.
Classics, yeah.
The classics?
Yeah. I'm in the New Balances though.
Yeah, New Balances.
Even though I got J's on right now, I'm in the New Balances.
Do you have like a favorite pair of like classic?
Jordans or New Balances?
Jordans.
My favorite Jordans, probably I don't know, bro. I like a lot of them, bro. Maybe the 11s, and I've never had a pair of 11s, but I always wanted one. But I probably the most stylish and the most that I think I could rock with more is probably the 3s. Probably the 3s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't get my first pair of Jordans till I was in college.
Yeah, I didn't get mine till 11th grade. Yeah.
Yeah. My mom wasn't with that. My mom kept me in K Swiss for Adidas.
You had to fight.
Yeah.
You had to fight. Trust me, I know it too, man. I had to fight.
Sperry's, my mom wasn't with that.
She was building character, man.
Yeah, facts. Everybody at school with a nice Jordans, nice Air Force Ones on. Here I am, Sperry's down, you know. But hey, okay, I got another one. Vintage, thrifting, or going to like a let's say a Macy's or a Dillard's or something like that.
Oh, if Macy's is the option, then definitely thrifting. But I definitely like online shopping.
Okay.
Like I like plain stuff, man. Like kind of what I'm wearing right now. Like
gotcha.
I'm not really into
keep
like
it simple.
Yeah, I just don't like to wear brands. Like not on camera. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't promote things that like.
That's real.
Damn, they got me. I really don't like to promote. I really don't like to promote brands not on camera.
Okay, let's go. Mentorship from industry leaders or forging your own path?
Oh, mentorship all day. Freak forging your own path.
Yeah.
Heck no. Yeah. Bro, it's something about having a mentor who's been there, done that. Somebody who's like successful at what they do. Somebody who's like past all like the stages that you in life and giving you advice. Like, man, shout out to my man, Denon, man, Mr. Porter. Like, he's been like a great mentor to me. Even like just to go over his house and just listen to his stories about life. You know, he's like one of the most legendary producers from Detroit. He produced for D12, produced for Eminem, produced for 50 Cent. Like, you name it, he's produced for him. Like, you know, for us, all you name it. But man, just to be able to sit and kick it with him, you know what I'm saying? Just to be in his space, man, because he just has a beautiful space, man. Like
That's real.
beautiful crib, you know what I'm saying? Got a studio in the basement, just kicking. It's like being in a spaceship, like being in a different world. Just to hear him talk about life, it's like, man, I feel like after talking to you, I can conquer the world, man. Mentorship all the way, bro.
Mentorship.
Mentorship.
That's real. March Madness or NBA Finals?
NBA Finals all day.
NBA Finals. You a college basketball fan?
I love college basketball, but it's nothing like the NBA Finals. Nothing like when LeBron is in the playoffs.
Oh, talk about it.
If he's not in the playoffs, March Madness.
I'm with you.
I'm a LeBron fan.
I am too.
Yeah. Me and Spank be arguing about that. I'm a LeBron fan,
for sure. So, are you a Michigan fan too? Are you excited about the college?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a Michigan fan by default because I'm an alumni, but like I'm not really into like Michigan sport. Not that I'm not really into it, but it's just like unless they have like a player like Jordan Poole, like I was into his college career, like they gotta have like a polarizing player that makes me want to watch them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm more into the story, not the team. You know what I'm saying? I gotta attach to a story. Like I love the Lakers, but I love LeBron.
Yeah.
If he's not on the Lakers, I'm not watching the Lakers. You know what I'm saying? I'm into people.
The only reason I watch the Lakers is because LeBron.
Facts.
If basketball is on, I'm only watching LeBron.
Facts. Or just other people, you know what I'm saying? Like if I know somebody who plays in the NBA or like I have an affinity for a certain player, then like I'm gonna watch that team. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain people that I want to watch. Otherwise, I don't want to watch them. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Live concerts or live sports?
I don't think I've ever been to a concert, so probably live sports.
Live sports.
Yeah.
Who's your as far as live sports? Like, have you seen LeBron live in person?
Yeah. I used to work at the Pistons arena, so I definitely seen him live. Seen him like warm up when nobody was in there. Yeah.
That's what I used to work at.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, I seen LeBron in person. I saw D Wade warm up. That was I just stood there and watched him.
Me too.
I think that was his last year in Miami, and he was just warm. I was like, okay, that's cool. I hate I lost my old Instagram because I had a video. I didn't save it.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah, that I like this. Nothing hits like a sports game, like especially when you're a good team, a good man.
And there's so much affluence and wealth in the room, or just in the building. It's like you pass so many people who like business people, millionaires, celebrities, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dang man, I just want to get into the box and just like shoot the shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that I, sitting courtside this season has really helped me do. And I really appreciate it, man. That's a whole nother story, but we can get to that another day, man.
Let's go. Hustling or 9 to 5 stability.
Yeah, I don't know if I would look at it as hustling. It's like dream chasing. Like, just hustling. Yeah, it's not worth it. I'd rather choose a 9 to 5. But chasing my dreams, chasing my dreams all day. But at the end of the day, it does get tough, man. Like 9 to 5, I feel like, it just gets to a certain point in your life. It's just like, especially for me, because I always go deeper. You know what I'm saying? Like, I always invest more. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, dang. I'm at a crossroad. Like either I live lavish or I go deeper into this creativity. I buy this $3,000 camera right now. Like, should I do that right now, or should I just like, just live more lavish, or to buy this, do that, that can help my own personal life. I always bet on myself. You know what I'm saying? And that's a hard road to live because you have to sacrifice a lot. But I mean, I had to get root canal not too long ago. You know what I'm saying? That came out of pocket. You know what I'm saying? I don't have a 9 to 5, so I don't have insurance. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like different things come out of pocket. So, but I would choose chasing my dreams all day, man.
You spoke on that bet on yourself piece, which is something I can relate to. But to someone who can't relate or not familiar with the term bet on yourself, or don't even know what betting on themselves look like. What would be like if you had to leave like one piece of advice, or like if you had to guide someone to the table of betting on themselves, what would you say or do?
I would ask them how loud is their subconscious. I would ask you, how loud is your subconscious? Because if it's
like the voices in the head,
if it's the type that whispers, then man, I would say just keep doing what you're doing if you're not betting on yourself. But if your subconscious is like mine, and it's very loud when you don't do with what you know you're supposed to do or what you said you was gonna do.
Yeah.
Then I would bet on yourself because at the end of the day, it's gonna get loud regardless. But it's nothing like the loudness of a subconscious, the loudness of a what if and you didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a different level of chaos and noise. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, yeah, I'll go all in. I'll bet, thousands of dollars into my podcast, and then I'm not making no money every month. But and it's loud in my head because it's like, dang, I could have did all this other stuff for my money.
Yeah.
But it's not as loud as if I wouldn't have did it. Because at the end of the day, I'm making strides. At the end of the day, I'm getting to another level. At the end of the day, I was sitting down with Brandon. We just did the episode with Brandon T. Jackson. He was talking about the podcast. Like, man, how you afford all this? How you do that? I said, man, I don't make no money from this. I pay it all out of pocket. But at the end of the day, it changed my life. Why? Because I'm sitting here with you. I wouldn't be sitting here with you if it wasn't for the podcast. TK came on my podcast, which is how I made the connection, him and Kamal. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If I never had the podcast, I wouldn't be sitting here with you. You know what I'm saying? The podcast changed my life. I would have never moved to Atlanta had I not had the podcast because Comedy Hype wouldn't have seen me. You know what I'm saying? I would have never got to speak at North Carolina Central had I not had the podcast because the professors at North Carolina Central saw me on the show and flew me out. Like, I would have never spoke at all these places. I would never be able to do anything that I've been doing. I don't want to say never, but it would have been different. And my life changed when I bet on myself. So as far as like betting on yourself, man, and going all in, it's really just about understanding there's a difference between saying you want it and then knowing if you really want it. And you can never know until you take the shot. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to know what it comes with it. Just like me saying I want to be a journalist. Like I want to be a journalist since I was like 7. But I wanted to be a journalist because I thought it was debating. Like I thought I would just get in the debate because I love to debate. Yeah. I'm not really a debater now. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy a good debate, but it's just not as much as I did when I was younger. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like now, like before I do an interview, man, I'm locked in. You know what I'm saying? And like my nerves is through the roof and all this other stuff. Like had I known that's what come with this, would I have done? But I said I wanted it, so now I'm doing it, and I know what really come with it. Once you see it, you know if you want it or not. Like, do you want to keep doing this? Oh yeah, I love this, man. And me, I love a challenge. You know what I'm saying? I don't run away from like the nerves. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to look. And hence to our earlier conversation that we just had. Like, I don't like to lose for me, and I don't like to lose for my brothers, or anybody who rolls in my family. If you family, I don't like to lose. I don't want us to lose. You know what I'm saying? That's
why when Tunji said, "I'll lose with you," it hit so quick. Okay, he's making sense. Yeah.
When he said, "Man, shout out to Tunji, man. Shout out to Tunji, man. We've been having powerful conversation all day, man. I've been feeling like it's been 5-6 hour powerful conversation. Y'all don't understand. We've been going back to back to back. It's been so many gems today. It's like, what the."
Well, we had a 2-hour conversation after an hour conversation.
He said, if we can't win together, I'll lose with you. I said, damn.
Yeah.
God, man, if somebody could dissect that, that's a whole curriculum. It's not, every time we think it's about winning, the goal of life is not even about winning. It's about sticking together. This is family. And then don't mean we got to be blood related. Yeah. If we form a bond, if we have a connection, let's stay together. No, well, we only got to stay together if we can win together. It's not about winning all the time. We're going to win later. Let's just stick together. Yeah. When he said that, it's just like, yeah. So many things fall apart, man, because we just can't stay together while we'll be going through the down period, man. That's a whole nother conversation. Don't let me go there.
Well, in that down period, everybody want to flee. Oh, man. But, like with it being the new year and whatnot, like, of course, the basic answer, the question would be like, what's your New Year's resolution, right? But I want to ask you a much more deeper question.
Yes.
With your podcast journey, your journey as you, Ahmad, what's your? I won't say what's your end goal, but what does it look like to you of like making it or being satisfied with what you have done? What does that look like?
It looks like a lot, but anytime I think about it, and this is just a vision, because when I see things, I just see it. An apartment in Seattle or a house in Seattle. I don't know why Seattle. I got to talk to a therapist about this, but it just got. And then I talked to talked to somebody about this not too long ago, and I think I might have figured it out because my dad, his favorite team growing up was Seattle Seahawks. So for some reason, Seattle's been in my mind.
Okay.
And I don't know why I have an affinity for Seattle, but then I think I found a connection. My dad's favorite team was the Seattle Seahawks, but it just looks like a house in Seattle, very peaceful. You know what I'm saying? A lot of followers on the podcast. And just you get a message out to them. I don't even got to do it in person no more. I can just do it in an audio version. Me and Spank can do it virtual or something like that. But I just want to help people. You know what I'm saying? I always wanted to retire a college professor. I definitely want to scratch that off my list, but I don't know how that looks. I don't know if it'll look the traditional way, but I want to retire a college professor. And I just don't want to have to worry about money. And that just means owning things, you know what I'm saying, from me and my family, you know. So it's like I'm not really stressed about money because I own what I got. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not worried about recurring bills outside of taxes and stuff like that. I want to own my plot of land, and I want to just be able to, and when I want to do speaking engagements, I can do speaking engagements. When I don't, I don't. I want to drop a book. So those are like the biggest things. Like if there was an end to the podcast, I want a book to be out by that time. I want to either have my master's degree or, you know, be pursuing it. I want to reach an audience of a lot bigger than I am right now, but it's okay because I love the audience that I have now. You know what I'm saying? And I want to be able to speak at engagements when I want, and I want to have my own land. You know what I'm saying? And it's all gonna happen. You know?
Yes, sir. It is. It is. All right. As we wrap things up, one last question, and we ask. I ask every guest this question. I just say we the harvest. We harvest empowering conversations for the people to pick their fruits of wisdom, knowledge for the mind, body, and soul. You know, as you were saying, of feeding that inner child of someone younger watching this platform and picking something from that, as you picked from what's
Trey Good,
Trey Good, you know, just that intentionality behind it. What's one fruit you would like to leave for the people to gain, if whether it be in life, just in general, but just a fruit of wisdom of some sort? What would it be?
Yeah, it's this quote I tweeted out, and I said, "I was broken, but I didn't break." You know what I'm saying? And I think that is such a quote and like a philosophy that I live by, because vulnerability, that's what it is to me. You know what I'm saying? I just exposed that I was broken, but I didn't break. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it's a difference because it's like, I was broken, but I can be fixed. You know, when you break, it's like it's shattered in so many different places. Like I was just broken. Like the machine wasn't turning on the right way. Like the button wasn't working, but I can get fixed. You know, and I think the most important thing is to know that you can come from that down place, that low place, and get back to where you were, to get back to a better place. And just understanding that, like, this is a universal process. This is something we all go through. A lot of the things that we go through in life are singular, are personal. This is like a whole human experience. And the fact that you can find collective understanding, love, and just like comfort, and just knowing that people can relate to you. You know what I'm saying? That's what breaking the machine is. That's what, you know, the harvest is. That's what all this is about. It's just about understanding that we're building a community of like-minded individuals, and we just letting everybody know it's going to be okay. So that's the message. It's going to be okay.
That's real, brother. I appreciate you coming on, man.
Good brother.
Yes, likewise, likewise. Hey, man, thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Harvest. Tell me, tell me, podcast where they can follow you.
Yeah, you can follow the podcast on Instagram at BR The Machine. You can follow me on Instagram at _Ahmad, AHMAD, The Poet. And the website, brthemachine.com. It's all love, baby. This is The Harvest, breaking the machine.
And we'll be back with you next week for another episode.
Peace. Dig.